Hello there, I'm FoxGamerPT and I'm making a roguelike top-down shooter game in Clickteam Fusion 2.5 called Deadly Seconds. In the game, you'll play as a red mercenary who has been hired to stop the devil's ritual during the night of Halloween. And in the game, you'll need to kill a bunch of enemies in order to stay alive, because if you don't, then the counter on the top right of the screen, called the Deadly Seconds, will decrease and reach 0, and when that happens, the Grim Reaper will appear and kill you instantly. So first of all, since this is my first devlog on YouTube, I wanted to give a short introduction to the game. So how did I come up with this idea? I'm making this game for my course, and first I had 3 different ideas. My first game idea was a point-and-click horror game where you'd have to solve a bunch of puzzles spread across a haunted mansion, and then by the end of the game you'd need to steal the house key from the jack-o'-lantern and then escape. My second idea was a roguelike game where you'd play as a mercenary, half devil, half angel, and you need to kill a bunch of demons and angels. Then by the end of the game you need to kill the devil himself. And my third game idea was a very short and simple game where you'd be a skeleton character and you need to go around the neighborhood trick-or-treating in a very limited amount of time, and in order to increase the timer you need to trick-or-treat, and if the timer ran out, then that would be the end of your session. And then I grabbed on all of these 3 ideas and I mashed them together into making only one single idea, which is a game where you play as a mercenary. You will kill devils and angels, but you'll also kill other Halloween themed monsters and creatures in general. And you also have a very short time to do it, and you need to kill more monsters in order to increase the time. And this all takes place in a haunted mansion. And so with that being said, I'm making these devlogs for people to see the progress that's been made with the game. I make these almost every weekend. Just check the game pages every weekend or so, or my YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see the new devlogs. Now, talking a little bit more about the game itself, there's multiple items, enemies and weapons, obviously. First of all, talking about the guns and the weapons in the game, one thing that I dislike about the weapons in most shooter games is that they'll almost feel like they're the same thing over and over. Like they just shoot bullets and that's it, and maybe you'll have something a little bit more different, like a grenade or a bazooka or something like a sword. But in my game, I'd like to make each and every single weapon a little bit more unique by tying each and one of them to a specific gimmick or mechanic. Like for example the shotgun that can break walls and barriers and can deal extra damage to the enemies if they're close enough, and for example the laser gun, which can affect ghost enemies, which can't be affected by most weapons. Ever tried shooting a ghost before? I don't think so. And as for the items, sure, they may just seem like your typical stat boosts at first, but they're actually much more than that. In this game, there's something called the side effects mechanic, which is a mechanic that is triggered if you pick up an item while holding a gun of its matching color, except if the item is orange. You see, in this game, all of the weapons, enemies and items are colored differently depending on their properties. For example, the orange ones are the default ones, so they don't do anything else besides their main function. The green ones are debuff focused, so they'll slow down enemies and lower their damage, for example. And the purple ones are hazardous focused, so they'll have a second weird function that you'll need to find out on your own. And the red ones are damage focused. So, for example, a red weapon will always have double the base damage that any other weapon has. And I almost forgot. The game's main mechanic and the mechanic that gives it its title, the Deadly Seconds. The deadly seconds is the game's signature mechanic, which is the counter mechanic that's on the top right corner of the screen, and it's a counter that decreases over time. How do you increase it, you may ask? Well, by killing enemies. Killing enemies will make the counter increase a little bit, and depending on how hard the enemy you killed is, it will give you a different compensation. And if the counter reaches 0, then the Grim Reaper will appear and you'll enter in killstreak mode. While in killstreak mode, you'll have to kill a bunch of enemies again, except that this time, the enemies that you'll kill will fill up that bar on the top. And while this is all happening, the Grim Reaper will be after you and he'll be able to one-shot you if you're not careful. And if you're able to fill up the killstreak bar all the way up to the top, then you'll exit killstreak mode, the Grim Reaper will go away, and the deadly seconds will be reset. Okay, now that you already know a little bit of the game, I'll be able to give the actual devlog now. I'm adding new content to the game, starting with the weapons, because I don't like how little variety the game has right now. I've already played the game for like half an hour and I'm not satisfied with how samey everything is. So I want to add more weapons, and weapons that aren't just shooter weapons. Like for example, I want to add more melee weapons and more weapons that are tied to the monsters and their mechanics. I've been working on fixing some of the game's performance issues, like for example the game lagging when it needs to display player saved data, like for example their high scores or the player's almanac info, which I was able to fix, but there's others that I'm still trying to fix with the main game, like for example certain chunks of the room not loading, the game lagging when it needs to zoom in on the player finishing off an enemy, and so on and so forth. Now, once I'm done fixing all of these issues and stuff, I'll be back to adding new content to the game, because right now I've paused the new additions to the game in order to fix some of its performance issues, which I think is more important. Now, I've already finished the devlog, and I don't have anything more to say of new about the game or about its progress, so from this point onwards I'll just be talking about general stuff about me and the channel and how I'll be going about these devlogs. So if you'd like to not watch that part, you can just skip ahead or leave the video right now. Thanks for watching. Now, for those who are still watching, I've noticed that the game's soundtracks on my YouTube channel are too quiet, and I'll be working on fixing that as soon as I figure out how I can replace a YouTube's video without actually replacing it. But I don't think that's possible, so I'll just end up deleting the current ones and re-uploading new ones with a higher volume. Oh, and also, I just want to say that not all devlogs are going to be videos, because I'm gonna need to do this all on my weekends, record, edit, and then release, and that's a bit too much for me, especially because I still need to develop the game itself. So I hope you like this video, and goodbye.